Welcome to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. If you're on a mission to be more frugal with both your time and money, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we talk about topics that help enhance living a frugal lifestyle. The goal is to save time and money where we can so that we can use the rest on what matters most to us. We talk a lot about both time and money management so that we can waste as little as possible on both. We do this while also embracing a progress over perfection mindset. If that sounds good to you, then please stick around for the latest episode right after a few quick words from our sponsor.
With Amex Platinum, you get priority notified with global dining access by Resy, so you can get first dibs if a spot opens up at restaurants. And compliments to the chef turns into compliments to your Platinum card. That's the powerful backing of American Express. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withAmex.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. Quick update on things going on before we get into today's topic. Right now I'm trying to add some new recipes into the rotation of my meal plan a little bit at a time. As you guys know, I kind of repeat the same recipes over and over again, for the most part over different periods of time, depending on what it is. But lately I've really been feeling like trying some new things, but I'm not going to go crazy and build these extensive meal plans with all new recipes and everything like that. So I'm just finding a recipe here and there if I happen to be sitting at the computer and finding something that looks good and is relatively simple to prepare and putting it in the meal plan on some future date. So I'm going to keep working at that and trying to build in some new recipes, still kind of sticking with my plan the way I do it, but just maybe for Tuesday nights we do a Mexican theme meal. If I see something that fits into that kind of category, I'll add it into that loop so that there's more recipes so that it is different for, there's more recipes to rotate through. Or obviously if it's just a recipe that doesn't fit into one of those themes, I'll just make it on one of those other nights, like a Monday night or a weekend or whatever, where I don't really have a theme that I follow. But if I find a new soup, I'll mix it into the Thursday nights. If I find a new Mexican type meal, I'll put it on Tuesdays, and then if it's something else, I'll just figure out when to put it. But my favorite meal this week that I will share is I'll just share it right now is from one of those new recipes that I got. It was I forget exactly what it was called. It was in last week's meal plan. It was salmon, sweet potatoes, and broccoli. And basically it was you cut up the sweet potatoes into little pieces, and then you toss it with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper, and then you bake that in the oven for 15 minutes while you're chopping up broccoli. And then you mix the broccoli with a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper, and then you take the sweet potatoes out, you push them to one side of the tray, you put salmon in the center, and then you put the broccoli on the other side, and then you bake it again for another 15 minutes. Oh, I forgot one part. You make this chili flavored topping for the salmon. You mix mayo with chili powder, and then you spread that over top of the salmon, and then you bake it. And then while that's baking, you take fresh lime juice and you squeeze it into what's left of that mayo and chili mixture and make a chili lime sauce, and then you drizzle that over the vegetables when the salmon comes out. So I really liked that, and it wasn't that much different from what I normally make, but it fit into my seafood meal rotation, which is what I usually do on Wednesdays. So it was something a little bit different than what we usually have. So I'm definitely going to keep that in my rotation, not super frequently, but I'll do it maybe once every 3 months or something. I'm trying to add more new things in that I can spread out over time so that it's not oh, now we're going to have this every 2 weeks. Certain things I do, hamburgers we do every 2 weeks. Hot dogs we do once a month. We do the certain things we do kind of frequently, but then the new recipes, I want to kind of add them in just to kind of mix things up a little less frequently to have those recipes. So that's kind of my update and my favorite meal at the same time. Loving lately, I have to share, I have got this maple cream. I'm sure other people have seen or heard of this before. I just hadn't. Maple cream. It's basically real maple syrup, but then they make it into a cream by cooking it down. I guess kind of similar to how you would make caramel. And it's all natural. Obviously it's still sugar. It's maple syrup, but it's real. It's not the kind that you buy in a container that's like usually mostly like corn syrup. It's like natural, and I'm not saying it's like super healthy or anything like that because I don't know, but I feel like it's got to be healthier than what I was using in my coffee, which was like the French vanilla creamer sweetener, which is like half fake too. And I'm not being critical. I mean, I drink a lot. I eat a mixture of like healthy and then probably not so healthy stuff. But when I saw this, okay, so I forgot to mention I've been using it in my coffee. So it's this maple cream, and it's just made 100% from maple syrup from a tree. And been mixing it into my coffee for my sweetener when I make my Nespresso in the morning. And it's so good. It makes it like perfectly sweet. Like I don't need to add anything else. So I do like some milk and that, and then the Nespresso. And I love it so much. And I feel like at least it's a little bit better for me probably than using that French vanilla creamer that I was using. So I'm like kind of super excited about that. So that's definitely something that I'm loving lately is using that. Of course, it's probably on the expensive side. I'm trying not to use too much because I'm going to have to get it again from this place. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of places I could get it, but I was going to try and probably get it from this place again that we got this. It was like a small little business. We got it at like a what do you call it? A fair that we went to. I think I mentioned that we went to the sheep fair last week. I think I mentioned that in last week's episode. Anyway, we bought it while we were there. And I'm not sure if I did mention that or not, but anyway, we went to this sheep fair that was pretty cool. And they had like a lot of vendors there selling different products and stuff. And we got this maple cream, and I'm really, really loving it. And oh, one other quick thing that I'm really loving right now too is my baby rhododendron. So I forgot to mention when I talked about we had gone to this bonsai festival, or not festival, it was just like a little demonstration or whatever. But while we were there, there was this lady that had these little baby rhododendrons that she had made herself. I guess she does that or whatever. And she had like extras. It was nothing to do with the bonsai. These are just regular rhododendrons. But she just had them there, and she was like giving them away for free for anyone who wanted them. So I got one, and I'm like babying it. I'm so nervous because it's very small and it's doing really good so far. I bought like special potting mix for it because I'm just keeping it in a pot right now until it gets bigger. But I'm gonna have to keep it like keep an eye on it because it gets really cold sometimes in New Jersey in the winter, and it's so small. Obviously, once it's bigger, it'll be able to survive the winters here. But it's very small right now, so I don't want it to die in the winter. So I'm like a little bit nervous about it, but I'm hoping that I'm gonna be able to keep it alive through the winter, like just by kind of maybe bringing it in if I need to, if it's like going to be frosty, and then like putting it back out so that it stays out in the sun. But we will see. I'm hoping if it survives the winter, I think it will survive like long past that. I just need to get it through this winter. So I wanted to share that. I'm not going to do what I'm reading right now because I just am not prepared for this week. I didn't get a chance to make notes. I mean, I know what I'm reading, but I usually like to grab like a quick little synopsis from Goodreads or something so that I can kind of tell you what the book is about without spoiling it. And I did not have a chance to do that. So I'm just going to skip that for this week, and I'll update you on that next week. So today I wanted to talk about building breathing room into your day. And this is really the same as creating margin in your life. I had done an episode several years ago called Creating Margin in Your Life. Someone recently commented on it that they really enjoyed that episode, and I was like, oh, that's something I haven't talked about in a while, and I wanted to give it a fresh title rather than just calling it Creating Margin in Your Life again. So I called it Building Breathing Room into Your Day. But either way you look at it, it's really about giving yourself some time in your day that you can either rest, read, do whatever you want. It's really just about not making it a point to have every single waking moment of your day filled with something that needs to be done. If you create margin or give yourself some breathing room in your day, it really allows you some flexibility to take a break when you need to so that you're not exhausting yourself on a daily basis. Of course, there's always going to be some days where you're really running from morning until night, but if you allow yourself to create some extra space in your life, that will ensure that those crazy days are not your norm. They're just things that happen once in a while. There's many things that you can do to kind of help build some space into your day. So I'm just going to kind of share a few things that I have ideas about. But be creative and just try to think of how nice it would be if you feel like your days are just too chaotic to have just at least a little bit of space in your day. The first thing, obviously, is that you really need to try to watch how much scheduled activities or events that you're allowing to put on your calendar. When your calendar is too full, it really makes it very difficult to have any flexibility in your day. You really want to make sure that when you are scheduling out your week that you don't have too many things on there. Especially like if you're at a stage, which I'm no longer in, but I remember when my kids had activities and things, and they'd have like, my one daughter would have a soccer game, she'd have riding lessons, and then there'd be like a Girl Scout event, and my son would have like karate, and it was just like it felt just like every minute we were running, running, running. And sometimes as many things as they like to do is just too many things. So you kind of have to try to figure out like what's the most important that they really love and try to have them pick if you can. If you're okay with doing that. Obviously, if you want them to do all these things and you're good with that schedule, but sometimes it was just so crazy that we had to just be like, look, this is just too much. And we had three kids only like 2 years apart from each other, so it was just a lot. So those times of life definitely create a lot more on the schedule. My schedule is nowhere near as busy as it was at that time. But there's still other things that come up on the schedule. There's doctor's appointments, and I have my work. I work full time, and I'm doing the podcast, and I'm trying to, clean the house and everything else. And there's just a lot of things, and you don't want your life to just be doing productive tasks. You also want to be enjoying things. And with the kids' schedule and all that, some of that could be your relaxing time too. I know sometimes I would enjoy just like going and sitting at a soccer game and, watching the game, maybe just kind of relaxing or whatever. So that could potentially be part of your downtime. But just having those times built into your schedule, at least a little bit, where you don't have something on the calendar where you can do something if something important does come up that you need to just kind of squeeze in real quick so you don't feel overwhelmed about it, or just take a break and relax a little bit. Just try not to keep your calendar so packed if you possibly can. Another thing you could do is really try to create a realistic plan for each day. When you create a to-do list for your day, it can be hard to be realistic about how much you could truly get done in a day sometimes. But when you put more on your to-do list than you can possibly get done, it's going to just make you feel a little bit overwhelmed, and it's going to possibly make you feel unaccomplished at the end of the day when you're left with so many things on your list. So if you can make a realistic plan, either by time blocking or just by thinking about how much time you really have to get these tasks done, it can make it a little bit easier. Time blocking to me is the best way because you can actually look at the time slots that you have available in the day and say, okay, well, this here is going to take me like 3 hours to do. So I'm going to work on that thing in the morning. Then I need to have lunch. Then I need to throw some laundry in the wash or load the dishes or whatever. So that's going to be like another half hour. And then, okay, I have another 2 hour block here. What can fit in that day? When you kind of map out your tasks along with how long they take and when they can fit into your day, it can really help you create a more realistic schedule and not leave you with a list of things that you couldn't possibly have completed anyway, but you might feel bad about not getting them done when if you had looked at it in a different way, you would see you couldn't possibly get done. And if you plot things out in a way that you can realistically get them done, you'll end up feeling better about what you accomplished that day and still have a little bit of space to do those other basic needs, and maybe have a little bit of downtime too.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber Teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber Teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
Another thing to really think about is scaling back on your to-do list. If you're like me, there are certain things that go on your to-do list and they never come off. Take a look at your list and see if there's anything on there that you can just cross off forever. If something's been on there for a really, really long time and you still haven't done it, just think about if it's really important. I mean, I'm not saying like something that is truly important, like some kind of, medical issue you need to take care of, or like, maybe some kind of legal documents or whatever, things like that that you really truly do need to take care of. But sometimes we put things on our list that maybe we think we want to do, but it's not really affecting our lives that much. We're probably not going to get around to them if we ever do. And having them on the list just makes your list longer and it makes you feel bad about not having done those things. So if you have anything on your list that you're like just never getting around to and it's really not super important, just take it off your list. If it becomes a priority to you, you can always put it back on your list again. It's not gonna, it doesn't mean you can never do it. But just getting those types of things off your list can really kind of take away some of that stress of having this enormous to-do list if there might be things on there that you really probably aren't going to ever get to anyway. So just kind of look at your list and see if you have anything thing like that. Planning meals, of course, I pretty much have to mention this in almost everything, whether it's time management, money management. I always talk about meal planning a lot, but it really does have an impact on your day. Planning out your meals can really just save you time. It saves you time in preparing for the day because you could just look to see what's for tonight, take out what you need to take out, and then when you come home for dinner, or when it's time to make dinner, you're not thinking about what you're going to make, you're just making what you had already planned. And it also saves you time grocery shopping because you have a list of what you're going to make and you buy the groceries for that. You're not sitting there wasting time thinking about what things you might want to purchase. So, if you meal plan or you don't meal plan, even if you meal plan lightly, just a little bit of preparation can really kind of help save you some time in your day because we all have to eat. So that's kind of part of everybody's lives. So if you can plan your meals for the week, I know some people even use like those meal services where you order meals that are kind of already prepared with the ingredients and things like that. Even doing something like that is still planning your meal. So while it might be on the expensive side, if that's something that you're wanting to that you value right now and you need that extra support in getting those meals, then that's totally fine. But are you taking the time to prepare and plan for that? Like making sure you did order those meals, or are you going to be like, oh no, I never ordered those meals. Now we have to do takeout, or now I got to go to the grocery store and pick something up. So meal planning definitely can help you build some time into your day just by saving you time that it takes to plan around cooking. Consider getting up earlier or going to bed later, depending on your kind of natural schedule. I'm not saying at all to sleep less. I think getting the right amount of sleep is really, really important. But if you are more of a morning person, you could consider getting up earlier and getting more done in the day and then going to bed earlier at night. Because if you're probably not going to be getting that much stuff done at night when you don't have as much energy, you could maybe get yourself up a half hour or an hour earlier in the morning and get a bunch of things done, and then leaving that time at the end of the day when you have less energy to let yourself relax or do a few things that don't take up as much energy, mental or physical energy, and then you could just go to bed earlier. Or if you're more of a night person, you could, depending on your schedule, you could potentially sleep in a little bit later and then stay up a little bit later at night and get some things done then. So it's really just about kind of like managing when you personally have the most energy and try to see if you could get some things done at those different times to free up a little bit more space in the rest of your day. And then limiting distractions. A lot of times we allow tasks to take longer than they really should because we get distracted. Distractions could be anything like checking your email, Instagram, text messages, just picking up your phone or sitting down and watching the TV for a minute, or maybe you're doing a cleaning task and you see something else that really needs to be cleaned and you start pulling a closet apart or whatever, and then you didn't get the thing done that you really wanted to get done. So, just kind of really trying to focus on what it is that you actually want to be doing and limit distractions as much as possible. Because if we could stay focused on the priority that we really need to get done, that saves us time to get that task done sooner. And that also, by nature of having something done quicker, frees up more space in our day. So there's always going to be more things to get done, and you can easily get distracted with other things. But if you can really try to limit those distractions and put those other things out of your mind, focus on what you want to get done, and then leave that extra space for yourself in your day to have a little bit of to have your day not just so jam-packed. And then really importantly, try not to fill in the extra gaps with work. The point of building extra space or building breathing room into our days is not to free up time to get more things done. If you're like me, that's very tempting. You feel good about checking things off. You're always like wanting to get things done. But having free time in your day really can just kind of allow you time to sit and think about maybe what you want to be doing like in the future. Maybe you do want to do some more priority tasks, but you want to like think about them and think about like what's most important. It might give you some time to just like sit and relax for a minute or go for a walk or just do something that you enjoy. You're going to have overwhelming days probably no matter what, especially depending on the season of life that you're in right now. So the reason you want to specifically try to build margin in your days and free up some of that space is so that you can have a little bit more relaxing days on the days when it's not one of those hectic days, so that you have like a break in between, because you can't just go constantly every minute trying to get something done, running here, running there. It just gets overwhelming and exhausting. So, really, if you do have a day where you have a little bit of space and you don't have something that's a major priority that needs to get done, just give yourself that space. Maybe make a phone call. Maybe, like I said, just read or relax, watch a show, go for a walk, just do something enjoyable and kind of try to give yourself that time to rest so that when you do have those hectic days, they don't feel so overwhelming. So that's all I have to say about today's topic. I hope you enjoyed these tips. I really thank you so much for listening, and I will see you back here next week.
So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode. And don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife. And you can find a blog post for most of my episodes and definitely all of my meal plan episodes at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.